I've been doing this a long time. I've never heard of a federal prosecutor breaking down in tears in a courtroom and begging the judge for mercy in the form of sending her to the tank, to a detention center, so she can get 24 hours of shut-eye. Oh yes, the wheels have come off, and Julie Lee is now the canary in the coal mine, showing how stressed and strained the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi's leadership is in Minnesota. Because Julie Lee, when she was appearing in court today in front of a federal judge about habeas corpus rights, the rights of migrants detained unconstitutionally without getting to see the light of day of a courtroom, she broke down and said, and I quote, "The system sucks. This job sucks. I can't get ICE, my client, to do what they're supposed to do, and I need a break." This is all in front of Judge Blackwell in Minnesota. I'm going to talk about the stress and strain on our system as exhibited by Exhibit A, Julie Lee. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Wednesday morning on Legal AF. Wake up, everybody. This story, I think, begins with Judge Schultz, Chief Judge of the Minnesota District Courts, all of the district courts in Minnesota. When 4 days ago, he said in an order that he issued, he said that he did a survey in Minnesota and found that in the month of January alone, ICE violated 100 or more orders in federal courts in Minnesota. ICE alone, which he said is more than most or some federal agencies have ever violated in their entire life. And he said it ends now, that he's going to start sanctioning ICE for contempt and other things if they continue to violate his orders, which brings us to Judge Blackwell. And in Judge Blackwell, he has 5 different habeas corpus petitions in front of him, meaning human beings who are looking for federal judges to intervene. By the way, you're on Legal AF YouTube. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button, become a paid subscriber, even better, help independent journalism survive and thrive. That's what's happening to the Minnesota courts. They are groaning under the strain of the hundreds, if not thousands of cases that are now before them because of Operation Metro Surge. Isn't just about ICE and Border Patrol killing, maiming, injuring, abusing American citizens, migrants, and others on the streets of Minnesota. Oh no, it's about the capture of other human beings, like it's some sort of Running Man or The Purge. And then federal judges have to fly into action along with federal public defenders in order to provide justice. And so just like the Jan 6th and the 2,000 arrests for the insurrection on our nation's capital led to a strain on the DC district court judges, where they each got dozens of these cases to handle. It was the biggest operation at the time in the history of the Department of Justice to prosecute a couple of thousand defendants. What do you think's happening in Minnesota? And their judges, they don't have as many judges. They don't have as many lawyers. And the difference is the Department of Justice in DC didn't lose 2/3 of their office that walked out the door because of Pam Bondi and Donald Trump, like Minnesota's U.S. Attorney's Office did. The U.S. Attorney's Office that Julie Lee volunteered apparently to work for. She's not even an assistant U.S. attorney. She's been deputized specially for these purposes. According to reporting, she came from ICE Immigration Court, where she was representing ICE. That's a whole new world, Julie. You don't have an Article 3 independent, neutral judge in front of you under the Constitution. You have a Trump judge. You're a Trump lawyer. Sorry, you're a Trump lawyer working for ICE. And the judge is a Trump judge. You know, in this hermetically sealed immigration world that you operated in. Whether you volunteered, got the short straw, were conscripted or drafted, the reporting is you volunteered. I wonder how much consensual that was, how voluntary that was. You show up because the entire office in Minnesota, U.S. Attorney's Office, is brain drained. Leadership walked out the door because of the refusal of Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, the number 2, to prosecute, investigate, and prosecute the execution, summary execution on the streets of Minnesota of Renee Good, of Alex Pretty. And in protest, these people said, "I've had enough, final straw, last straw, we're out." And they haven't been replaced. It's so bad that the non-prosecutor that they hired to take over the office as the U.S. attorney who got confirmed with no prosecutor experience, apparently. It's so bad that he doesn't even regularly show up to work because he's religious on Saturdays and Friday nights. He got attacked by Greg Bavino, the outgoing Border Patrol officer, the guy that was attacked for being a Nazi, for wearing an SS long trench coat, winter trench coat that looked like the SS. He's also apparently anti-Semitic because he started to make fun of and ridicule the U.S. attorney who's Jewish. This is the office that Julie Lee joined. Okay? And so it got to Judge Blackwell. And Judge Blackwell, following on the heels of Judge Schiltz, the chief judge, said to Miss Lee, why is it that my orders about these 5 human beings is not being followed? And she broke down in tears in the court. Here is the reporting from the courtroom. She said, we have no guidance or direction on what we need to do. This is what she just volunteered in the last month in January to help with the habeas corpus petitions that are flooding into federal court. And she's before Judge Blackwell. She said, I wish you would just hold me in contempt so I can get 24 hours of sleep. The system sucks. This job sucks. I'm trying with every breath, Miss Lee said. I have to get you what you need. She also said that it's like pulling teeth to get ICE to comply with court orders. Think about that. A lawyer representing ICE ultimately is reporting to the judge that it is like pulling teeth to get them to comply with court orders, and then it's required nonstop work in an office that doesn't have enough people. She says, I'm here in court to make sure the agency, ICE, understands how important it is to comply with court orders. And then she got visibly emotional, started to cry. The judge says, I'm sorry, this is of your own making. He didn't mean Miss Lee particularly, because I'm sure she's already been fired. He meant in general. This is the plight. This is what we're watching with a system groaning under the strain of an out-of-control Donald Trump. And Pam Bondi didn't make things any better by flying and spending time in Minnesota trying to buck up morale in the U.S. Attorney's Office. That seems to have backfired. Yeah. And people who I guess thought they were doing their civic duty, like this prosecutor said, I'll help with habeas corpus. I sort of understand habeas corpus from my ICE court, from my Trump court, from my Trump judges. Yeah, now you're in front of a federal judge, Blackwell. Now, what I think is going to happen from here, and we'll keep a close eye on it on this Wednesday, lots to talk about on Wednesday, is that Judge Blackwell's not going to be happy. Judge Schiltz, the chief judge, is not going to be happy. And Judge Schiltz is going to start holding contempt hearings. He's already said, if I get, this was the quote from his order that just came out on the 28th of January. Judge Schiltz said, ICE is not a law unto itself, and went on to say that the court warns ICE that future noncompliance with court orders may result in future show cause orders requiring the personal appearance of Todd Lyons, the head of ICE, or other government officials. And I think based on this reporting about Blackwell, you're going to see the chief judge get to the bottom of what happened and hold hearings as a result. There's no other way around it. And I feel for the federal judges and their staff in Minnesota who have to do justice. They have no choice. Just as I feel for the human beings who are being chased through the streets in an unconstitutional and unpatriotic way. And then I also feel in my own way, not empathy, but sympathy for Miss Lee, because she said the quiet part out loud through a veil of tears about what's happening. She can't get her client to comply with law. Get her before an oversight committee hearing in Washington. I would. Major oversight committee hearing going on just yesterday. We have it up live. You can watch it now in recording on Legal AF YouTube. With Democrats taking the lead to get a bill passed to provide constitutional oversight. It's hard to believe I have to say this, to officers who are sworn to uphold the Constitution on Border Patrol and ICE, and hold up funding until it happens, and hold up funding until Kristi Noem is fired and she's placed on the trash heap of history. I'm glad you're here. Hit the free subscribe button. Lots of reporting today. Later today, I'll also be bringing up with Adam Klasfeld from the courtroom or outside the courtroom with Judge Hellerstein in New York, Donald Trump's attempts to get his state conviction in the Stormy Daniels case, 34-count criminal conviction, moved to federal court as another process to try to get his sentence vacated and his felony vacated. Will he or won't he? I'm talking about Judge Hellerstein. Big hearing tomorrow. We'll cover it right here on Legal AF. 35% sale on annual membership on Legal AF Substack. Come over now. We've got 400 people that took advantage of it. Be one of them. Be the fuel we need to oppose this administration. Till my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.